Hello, today I'm going to teach a lesson about witches hunting and witch trials in general in European history and Northern American history. It's just a really quick, small lesson. And this lesson will involve, we'll first start off with witch hunting in general during what this kind of period started out. It started out in the early 15th century um, to 16th, to early 16th or 18th century. Sorry, apologies. Um, and during this period, it was mostly in Western Europe and North America. The Western civilization is mostly where most of this witch hunting happened. And so that's inevitably the focus of this lesson. And we'll get into some of the kind of ideas about that lesson and maybe why this happened. Which you might be curious why this happened. So some of the European witch hunting, just general information about it, about 50,000 people were killed during this period between 1500 and 1600s. Um, the most common method was burning at the stake, and it was is interesting enough both Catholic and Protestant did this. So it wasn't like any one group was doing it. It was both groups during this period, which will come up a little bit later in this lesson. But it's interesting. This is the number about how many got killed during this period. This is a lot of people, 50,000, and there's not this might not even be the full record. This is just an estimate. So there was a lot of hysteria, which is interesting because there wasn't a lot of hysteria before in the medieval period, actually, witch hunting had been dismissed before. So it's interesting that this is not dismissed during this period, and we'll get into a little bit why that. Um, so some of the largest ones in Europe include the Würzburg, Germany trials, which were between 1626 to 1631, and about 200 were executed. And it was this was the largest one where women and children were burned multiple times at the stake in the city in a common region around the county, and it caused loss of mass hysteria. And it's interesting to compare to the Salem witch trial, which only killed about 19 people, but is still ingrained in the mind both of Americans and Western culture in general. But this one was much larger and more important. It would kill more people and more probably affected lots of more culture in general. But anyway, so back to reason. We're wondering like why did this happen? Why did all this witch hunting happen? So in general, there's some main general reasons. Scientific revolution caused people to question certain standards in societies and caused lots of anxiety, both in the scientific community and general community, because there were lots of general questions that both religion and just general natural sciences seemed not to really answer, but were trying to come up with different answers to ideas. And this led to a re-establishment of superstition as being the main way of explaining things or being a hysterical effect. And so that's the reason for that. And it caused a lot of anxiety that had not been there before. And also, there was also anxiety over the Reformation, which had caused a religious conflict, which again caused people to question both religious ideas about the world and stuff, and caused anxiety about what is the right religion. And this conflict caused different mass panic and chaos and social issues, which in turn caused another like snowball effect of issues to cause people to start panicking and blaming people, which included women as scapegoats. Like during these religious conflicts, these scientific debates, people were starting, and like during lots of religious wars, lots of issues happened with farms being destroyed, lots of issues of famine. Suddenly, you need a scapegoat for that, and women perfect target. And that's where the kind of the snowball effect of all these ideas come to the one thing of targeting this one group, causing lots of mass hysteria and destruction and um, different horrors. But anyway, so that's kind of a general idea. There's lots more to it, and it would be interesting to go into more depth about this, but this will probably conclude the lesson at the current point. I would like to give you a general assessment idea based off what I've been taught currently, and let me just get to the questions that you would love. I would love you to answer. So, what are some rational explanations for the witch hunting fever in American Europe? So, kind of um, if you're watching this, you can jot that down in your notepad. Or if you're using this in the Nearpod app that I'm using currently, you can use that to answer currently. Or, so just take a few minutes to do that, please. So just trying to remember like some of the lessons what I taught a little bit a few minutes earlier about what these explanations are and what kind of ideas behind it. Okay, we'll go to the next question. So this is important, like in terms of like more like idea, get understanding if you're thinking about modern ideas, where this comes up. So please define hysteria. Like does hysteria happen in the modern world? Like in the general Lewis English trial and like general European trials that we mostly focus on in this lesson, small, like tiny, small lesson, um, and why? Kind of why did this hysteria like that happen, and does it connect to some of the ideas we talked about in the lesson today? Let's take like a minute or two to talk about that. Okay, yeah, thank you for answering, and hopefully this informed you a little bit more about. I know it's a really small lesson, but it was hopefully informative about the trials and witch hunting in general in Europe, and hopefully continue your knowledge towards understanding how different social issues and different ideas can cause larger issues at mind that might seem unknown, but can be more known by studying the different issues at the time period, and maybe help us understand how to solve issues currently. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day, and hope this lesson was informative, helpful, and